Hello and welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about the hero's journey today. And I'm wondering if you're on a hero's journey and know it, or are you on a hero's journey and do not know it? I was someone who was on the hero's journey and didn't even have any idea what it was. So I thought this would be a great place, a great thing for us to talk about today. I am Tammy Coyne, your holistic alchemist, helping you change pain into possibilities and possibilities into purpose. I upload content on holistic healing and personal development, typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I do the Holistic Pathway podcast on Saturday, which is unscripted conversations on mind, body, spirit, and entrepreneurship. So, this idea of the hero's journey. If you do not know what it is, the idea comes from Joseph Campbell, and you can do plenty of research on Joseph Campbell. You will also find the hero's journey often shown in movies when you see the main character kind of living their ordinary life, and then something happens and maybe they don't want to deal with it. And then these things keep happening until finally they go on some sort of adventure and go into this sort of extraordinary world. Well, if you are on a holistic path or a spiritual path, chances are you are going to find yourself on the hero's journey. So I made some notes for myself so I could go over these steps with you in a more clear, concise way. I'm not an expert in the hero's journey as far as the literature part of it goes, but living it, I've definitely done. So I thought this might be a fun place for us to just kind of talk about. There are 12 steps really that happen on this journey. So the first is the call to adventure. This is the moment when the hero, or when you receive a call to adventure, which could come in the form of a message, a dream, or an encounter with a mentor or guide. So sometimes this happens where, let's say, I'll give you an example. In my journey, one of the things that began is my health started deteriorating. And so I got a diagnosis that caused me to be faced with making some changes. And am I going to make a change, or I'm not going to make a change? The next comes with the refusal of the call. That is where at this stage, you, the hero, may initially refuse the call to adventure, often due to fear, doubt, or a sense of inadequacy. So in our human experience, sometimes this happens. Let's say the call to adventure is weight, as an example. And let's say you've gotten a diagnosis, or you're just not feeling well or whatever it is, and you decide to venture into a diet. And then you go, I'm not really feeling it right now. So you refuse the call. Okay, then meeting the mentor is step 3. So you encounter a mentor or a guide who provides support, advice, and guidance on the journey ahead. So you then start to think, okay, well, maybe let's see what I can do with this. Number 4 is crossing the threshold. So you leave behind the known world and cross the threshold into the unknown, often encountering tests, trials, and challenges along the way. So think about anything you've done where you felt this sort of push to do something. Then you were like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Then maybe you found a mentor, a guide, a teacher, a counselor, anything like that, and you felt some support. Okay. And then you began to cross into this new world, this new territory, starting to learn things that you didn't know before. Then comes number 5, tests, allies, and enemies. So you must navigate a series of tests, trials, and challenges, often with the help of allies and the opposition of enemies. So I'm using this as a real world type example, one that I've gone through in my life. Let's say Weight Watchers as an example. Way back in the day, I used to go on a variety of different diets. And so meeting the mentor might mean I, met a teacher for the meeting, and then I crossed into the threshold of learning about these points and things I was supposed to eat. And then the test, allies and enemies might be the tests might be I didn't plan my meals for that day. So then I was faced with, am I going to not eat anything, or am I just going to blow it off and not do anything? Or am I faced with, say, going out to a restaurant and I'm not quite sure how to navigate that? And now maybe I've got the support of the group. And then 6, the approach to the inmost cave. This is where you approach the innermost cave or the heart of darkness, often facing greatest fears and challenges. So maybe this is, again, with the weight idea, maybe you begin to, the weight starts to go away and you start to be faced with some of the fears that you had, that the weight was sort of protecting you from. Maybe it's dating, or maybe it's intimacy, or maybe it's showing up in a new way. Whatever it is, it can create all of these feelings that have been hidden for a long time. 7, the ordeal. This is the moment of your greatest challenge where you face a major obstacle or an enemy and must overcome it to continue your journey. So let's say you're going through all of that, and then you've decided that, okay, this is like my biggest challenge yet. It's a big event or whatever. Maybe it's Thanksgiving. It used to be a big one for me. So maybe you get to that and you're just like, okay, I've conquered this. Now I'm on the other side. Like I've done this. So then the reward, then you receive or you achieve an award, often in the form of knowledge, insight, or a powerful object that helps you on your journey. So maybe at this point, you've gotten, rewarded for all that you've accomplished. Maybe you've gotten a new wardrobe. Maybe you've learned things about nutrition that you didn't know before, that kind of thing. Then number 9, the road back. This is when you begin the journey back, often encountering new challenges and obstacles along the way. So this might look like, okay, now that I've lost all of this weight, who am I now? People don't look at me the same way. I wear different clothes. The way my body feels when I walk feels different. So now I've got these new challenges I didn't have before. 10, the resurrection. This is when you experience a moment of death and rebirth, often symbolized by a physical or metaphorical transformation. So that's more where you've completely transformed yourself, and now you have this new identity to sort of step into. And the 11 is the return. This is where you return home, transformed and changed by your experiences, armed with new knowledge and insights that you can use to benefit the community. So maybe you begin sharing about your story. Maybe you began teaching something. Maybe you began your lifestyle becomes different, right? And people start asking you, hey, what are you doing? I'd really like to know. And 12 is the freedom to live. This is when you achieve a state of freedom and enlightenment, often living happily ever after or in a state of balance and harmony. Now, I use the example of weight, but can you see how you could apply the hero's journey to just about anything? Think about someone who is facing addiction, Think about someone whose marriage is on the rocks and then they go through a divorce. Think about this going through spiritual awakening, such as I did on my journey. And then all of a sudden, everything looks new and different. Your life is not the same as it was before. And now you're in a position to where it's important for you to teach what you've learned. And then all of that is very, very uncomfortable. And you start to go through all of these weird things that just don't make sense. Your life doesn't match your other life the way that it once did. And you begin to make changes. And then over time, you sort of settle into it and it becomes your new norm. So, what do you think? What do you think about the hero's journey? Now, this was not an in-depth deep dive into the hero's journey, and I don't know exactly what you're going through right now and how we could apply this to your life. But let me tell you, this is often running underneath where you know somewhere in you that you're being called to make a change and you don't. And then things get a little bit worse. And then you decide, okay, I've got to have some help. I've got to have someone to help me do this. Where can I go to get the help that I need? And then you find the help that you need, and then you start on this new journey. So, how many times in your life have you done this already and not even realize that's what was going on? Are you being faced with this now? What are you going through that could be your hero's journey? Now, I will say that in my lifetime, I've gone through many hero's journeys, not ever knowing what they were, not ever knowing that I was going through it. And often I didn't follow through with the things that I needed to follow through with, or I spent so much time overthinking that I didn't get very far on the journey. So I would be so interested to know, where are you with this? Have you experienced it? Are you on a hero's journey now? And are you now looking for a mentor, a guide, or a teacher to help you along the way? So I am Tammy Coyne, your holistic alchemist, helping you change pain into possibilities and possibilities into purpose. I really teach, empower, motivate, inspire, and transform through the stories of my own life. I've been through a lot in my life, and there is a lot of things that I have learned along the way that help people navigate their own journey. So thanks for watching. I hope you'll tune in. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.